That's it then.
Awesome.
Hello and welcome to another Dawncast with me, Di Lee. And this afternoon we've got Ben Ho, a good friend that I have connected in recent times through our West Entrepreneurial Hub. And Ben is the co-founder of a program called yesloyal.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So I think the first thing I do want to say is I've co-founded yesloyal with my brother, Hogan Ho, and it's really given us a great opportunity to work together. And through yesloyal, I think one of the blessings is the opportunity to have met you, Di.
I know. Now tell us and tell the audience, what is yesloyal?
Okay, so yesloyal, we're focused on small business and small business growth. And I think what we saw over the years is that a business is about getting and keeping customers, but often business is so hard that a lot of businesses just think about the get bit and forget about the get and keep bit. So we're very focused on those two components, because if you set out from the very onset to get and keep, then you'll grow a very powerful, sustainable business. So that's our focus, to help small business owners.
So tell us, how did you come up with that, the business idea with your brother? What made you do it?
So we went through, so I flew to London. My brother lived in London previously, and we spent about a month thinking about what to do. And we
worked together?
Yeah, we did. And we got plenty of pictures of us passed out on the couch. And we went through a lot of iterations and ideas. And I think one day we were sitting in a food court in London, and there were many, many stalls. And I said to Hogan, there's so many interactions between customers and businesses, but I don't see a lot of smiles. And wouldn't you think that if there was more smiles and more happy moments happening between business, customer, business, it would be better for the business and the customer and be linked to success. So that's sort of how we got the slogan or tagline, creating happy customers as well, because it's about creating more of these happy moments. But it just sort of, I don't know, through a collection of ideas, that's the one we landed on. And then we probably spent twice as long trying to come up with the actual business name and logo after that. Yeah. I think most business owners know that process.
Yes, we do know that process. You kind of, go along the way, set up your business and running, and then something will eventually, emerge out of that. Going back to what you've said about, their businesses are constantly going out chasing for customers. So that's been always the focus, isn't it? It's about how to ensure that you get more customers on board, get more numbers, just get that numbers growing. But the idea of keeping customers happy, would you call it genuinely happy? Or there are some slogans that would say, keep customer satisfied, satisfy your customers. But I feel that with what you are creating is more about that genuineness of connection and of really genuine retention of a happy, genuinely customer.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing in any relationship, you can't be happy 100% of the time. But what happens over time between relationships between ourselves, our partners, and our business customers is that through doing the right things over and over again, when something inevitably bad happens, they give you that chance because you've built that connection with them over time. And the biggest, I guess, mistake I see business owners, the biggest mistake they often interpret that people that keep coming back are actually loyal customers, when in fact they're coming back due to convenience and different things. And as soon as something bad happens, they'll go somewhere else. Or someone presents something more compelling, they'll go somewhere else. But if you actually have true loyalty, those customers will actually stick with you. They'll want to see you win over time. And the thing is, the more loyal customers you have, it has this net effect on the rest of the customers as well. So it's a very powerful thing. And we are moving more from, hey, do it yourself, to really helping someone come up with a plan and executing on that plan. And often that leads to a loyalty program that we help a business jump into.
I mean, loyalty is really based on the brand, isn't it? I mean, do you think it's based on a customer's experience with your brand and the experience of the service they receive or the interactions they receive, building that, therefore, would you say that loyal customers rely very much on having a very good brand as well?
I would say it's every single touch point that the customer has with your business. So think about every touch point, from your website to your emails to your staff to the business owner to how your business is actually presented to what people say online about your business through reviews. You're sitting at a dinner table, what do people who go to your business now say to their family and friends? So it actually is a collection of all those things that build someone's feeling or loyalty, because it's an emotional thing about a brand. So that's why it actually can be quite overwhelming when you try to form a plan around loyalty, because it's not any single thing, but largely it's about recognizing loyalty and telling people that, hey, I know you're loyal, I care, and I'd actually like to recognize or reward you for that. And often the recognition is simply enough. It's not about the loyalty programs that you see from big businesses where it has to be you earn points or you earn this and you get that. A lot of loyal people, loyal customers, are simply just happy doing what they're doing for nothing in return. They're just willing to give because that loyalty is built up over time. So it's more than the brand, it's everything. Yeah.
So what fuels you, or what really drives you in this space, Ben?
Yeah, well, I think overall what drives me is I like to see businesses win and make progress. But actually recently, I would say that the dictionary is one of my favourite books, actually.
Gosh.
Yeah, pretty boring. But often we use words, and those words we use quite freely, but we don't know the meaning behind them. And I looked up a word recently, and the word was flourish. And flourish is about a human being able to improve themselves over time through good times and through life struggles. And I would say that what drives and fuels me is my own personal ability to flourish and want to flourish, and also everyone that I touch, from small business owners to my family to my friends. The more I see that flourish happen, the more I'm fueled by it. And it's an endless fuel, actually, because it doesn't need to be me progressing or winning and flourishing, just those around me. If I see that happening, it just drives me to try to spread that even more. So that's the fuel.
Along the way, what have been some of the challenges in setting up Yes Loyal? Like, when did you conceive it and where it is today? What have been some of the challenges?
Yeah, so I guess some of the challenges were around, well, we've bootstrapped Yes Loyal. So there were challenges around capital and reallocating personal assets to fund and fuel the business. So there's challenges around that. There were challenges around the fact that there was a new dynamic relationship at play with my brother. There's one thing, you take a lifetime working out how to be good brothers, good siblings.
Yes.
And I respected, and he respected me for the achievements we had in the corporate world. But this is the first time you've got two human beings coming together to work, and just because you made it work as brothers doesn't mean that you totally 100% gel as business partners. And so that was one of the, I guess, the hurdles and the obstacles as well. And, I guess the other thing as well is you've got, especially when you're bootstrapping a business or a venture, is you are taking money from personal funds, and you've got a partner to think about, and you've got your children to think about, and your family. And I would say that if it wasn't for a very understanding wife, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, because you are drawing on your personal money.
Yeah, and so I mean that's a challenge, drawing in your own personal. I mean, how often do small businesses, from your experience, really do that? Like, how often? I mean, they do that, but how often is it? Like, kind of personally invest in it in order to to see what you believe grow.
Yeah, I think I see it very often. I think when we come up with an idea, we come up with a business and we're trying to make it work, every business owner I've met sees it as their baby. And it's very hard to divorce your baby from being, hey, maybe this isn't going to go anywhere. Maybe I just need to cut my losses now. There's too many who will just keep throwing money at more money when they shouldn't. And they just can't disconnect, and you know, it happens a lot. Yeah.
So do you have given yourself a timeline in terms of how this is going to work out for you and for Hogan and for both your families? Obviously, Hogan has also his family to look after as well.
I can guess in timelines we think about in terms of different milestones that we need to achieve, and if we don't achieve those milestones in the set time, to really sit down and reevaluate everything and reevaluate the business, reevaluate the runway and the finances and the team that we have, and whether or not there's a gap in knowledge. Or so we're constantly reviewing, and I wouldn't say that we've said, hey, if this doesn't work in X months or X years, let's stop. It's more a case of let's make sure we continually talk about it and review it. Like, for example, any of us that made a plan in December last year would not have factored in
COVID.
Absolutely. So you just got to be dynamic. Yeah.
I mean, working with your brother, as you mentioned before, if anybody Ben is a very active contributor on our Southwest Entrepreneurial Hub on Facebook. He's just amazing. He daily posts inspirational posts of the things that he does, going for walks in the early morning. It takes, I think, I haven't met many like yourself. I call myself a social entrepreneur as well. And I think people used to say that I'm so busy and I don't stop. And often people think that I'm mad and crazy for doing the things that I do until Ben came along. I thought, oh, great, there's another crazy person, crazier than me. Why do you do it? Why do you do what you do? I feel you're so passionate about it, but I just would like to, not just about the business, but there must be something that makes you do what you do with so much energy and enthusiasm too.
I'm just trying to think through it myself, because my first response and go-to a lot of the time is to talk about my kids, but I was like this before the kids, yeah. So I guess I've always had something I felt like I needed to prove, because over the years, people told me, you can't do this, you can't do that, and here's your limit, and you're never going to get beyond this point. And I guess that was fuel for me to prove myself right and prove them wrong. And I guess now it's less about me and more about, I see people who were the old version of me in personal life or in business, and I think at our age we want to contribute and give back and bring people along that same journey that we've been on, and that really fuels me. And yeah, I think it's just part of it's in the DNA and the upbringing.
I was going to ask, do you think it's the upbringing, has our family backgrounds, our the way we were raised and where we come from influenced the way our work ethics?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your work ethics.
Yeah. So my mum and dad came here when I was a year and a bit. Yeah, so in the 1980s, and I would say I'm also influenced by my wife largely. She came here in 84. And so we're I think you call it first generation here. So literally arrived with nothing, and we saw our parents work very hard. And I think that just is normal. Working hard is normal. Not working hard is the thing that kind of puzzles me. Yeah. So I'm very serious about work, but funnily enough, I'm not very serious about the outcome. If I feel like I've put everything into something and it didn't work, then I won't beat myself up. If I've done everything that I can, I will just move on to the next thing or the next project. So I'm serious about the work, but less serious about the outcome if I know I've done everything I can to make it work.
So what happens when people do that? I mean, as you were saying, I'm thinking, you know, sometimes you put 150% into something, and you could invest money, invest time, and I think you've got an example to give. Perhaps you can share, but then it doesn't work in the end. So what do you do then, or how do you then? What do you tell yourself?
Well,
Because and give us.
Yeah, well, the first thing I tell myself is that even though I put so much time into work and ventures, that it's not my everything. There is more to life than just work and our ventures. I think it's a very large part of life. And I love my acronyms. Anyone who's ever seen any of the videos, there's one that I came across recently, and I think it really gives a very balanced picture of life. And I can't take credit. It's by a psychology professor, but it's something that's used in the military and also in Australian schools for teachers. And the model is called PERMA. And the way to think through PERMA is it really divides, I guess, well-being and happiness into 5 different categories. So the first one is positive emotions. So this is when you feel happy. This is when you feel delighted. It's all those really positive feelings. Yeah. The second one is engagement. So when you look at life, think of the things that, have you heard of the word flow?
Yes, I'm
Flow?
always in the flow.
Yeah. So for people who don't know flow is when you do a certain activity and you look back and go, no way has it been 3 hours or 4 hours. That felt like 15 minutes. And that is flow. That's in engagement. So you've got that aspect. And then the R is actually relationships. And so it's about the people that you surround yourself with and those relationships and how to improve it. And sometimes I think you need to edit your relationships. There are certain people you need to let go, and there's other people you need to bring into your life. And I think how you feel at the moment is, I know you've brought people into your life that have radically changed your view and your trajectory.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I mean, I had this post this morning, I don't know if you saw, but I said it's the Epictetus quote. I think I pronounced his name correctly. One of the sage of Stoicism, whereby, you know, surround yourself with people who will uplift you.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So it's that's a huge part. Then I'll quickly go through the next two. M is meaning and purpose. So this is where if you're part of things which are bigger than yourself, it really adds to your well-being. And then finally, A is for achievements. So when you set goals that are just outside of reach and you achieve those things, then it's very positive and very good for your well-being. Now, if you look at those things and then you look at business not working doesn't affect all of those things. So when you have balance across those things, then it doesn't have a huge impact to your total well-being. If your venture or my venture failed, we would still have our relationships.
Yep.
You know, we would still have things that give us flow
Meaning.
and engagement. Yeah, we are part of other things as well. So those are the things that lead to well-being and happiness. And you can just Google and look up PERMA. And it's a model where you can look at those different areas, and I think across those different areas and see how I can celebrate where I'm doing really well, and in the other areas that I need to lift, I lift those. And I wouldn't say it makes you invincible, but really you're still going to have things in life that pull you down. But you know, this really, the more of PERMA that you have, it'll allow you to bounce back. Yeah.
So do you think, so it's basically, do you suggest then for businesses or startups or people on that journey as an entrepreneur or small business that they should then think about PERMA and have that built into I suppose their DNA, so that way as they progress?
Yeah, absolutely. I think business owners should think about it for themselves personally, their own PERMA. They should think about it in terms of their staff. So how the schools use it, is PERMA is applied for the teachers. It's not for the students even. It's for the teachers to make sure the teachers have this general well-being. And then in the military, it's used for people who have come back from literally a war and they're trying to deal with things like post-traumatic stress. So, but I can also see how you can use that to build on your customer relationships. So for example, the P would be, what positive emotions are you creating for customers when they interact with you? When they dine, for example, if it's a restaurant, does it feel like flow? Are they sitting there with their friends eating and chatting and the next minute you're tapping them on the shoulder and say, actually, we're closing now, right? The relationship you have with your customer. Is your organization doing something meaningful that customers are backing? You see a lot of organizations, you spend $1 here and we give 10 cents to charity, or, we're a business that's supporting other businesses. There's a bigger cause when you interact with us. And then finally, in terms of achievements, bringing customers into celebrating the achievements in your business as well. We're 1 year old, we're 10 year old, we've achieved this. So if you look across that, all those things and those touch points that I mentioned that build that loyalty and that loyal base for you, that is good for business. Yeah, so 100%.
So where is yesloyal at the moment? At what stage of your journey are you at?
Yeah, so where we're at the moment is quite a while ago we validated the concept and the fact that people see value in what we do. And COVID, I'm still trying to work out whether it was a good or a bad thing for us.
I think it's good.
It's good, I think, overall. We were due to launch before COVID, and then we actually had to go back to the drawing board and redesign quite a lot of things to deal with, I guess, the new social distancing and everything like that.
Yeah, that's a challenge, isn't it?
It's tough. It's tough. But I guess where we are now is and I know I'm quite open, just nearly 100% of the time, is that my business model is when I work with a customer, we don't actually break even on any customer that we bring on board until a year after they've come on board, because we break down, I guess, the charging model with the customer into bite-sized bits monthly. So I guess my biggest challenge at the moment is that when I work with a new customer, if they actually don't make it through COVID, and there's a lot that are struggling, so if they don't make it to 3, 6, 9 months, I'll actually be in a negative position with that customer because I invest first before I get payback. So if they don't last it past 12 months,
wow,
I will end up at the end of 12 months backwards, not forwards. So
that's a huge risk.
It is, I guess. So that's where I'm in the business. We are at the business at the moment. We need to be, not only are people very selective about who they work with, right? So look at yesloyal, look at other people that are doing things that are possibly similar. You're selecting us, we're also selecting them. But I think that, once we come together in a marriage, we can make it work. Yeah. But I think what helps is we generally only deal with businesses that their online reputation is 4 stars or above out of a 5-star rating, because I'm then working with people that already care enough about customers that customers are rating them 4 or 5. And they're the people who get it. They understand, okay, we need more of these people. Yeah.
So basically, if you're not a 4-star or a 5-star
that's
business,
step 1. We'll work on that together.
Yeah, that's right. So, but you're interested, Ben can help you go up to the 4-star and 5-star. Is that right? Before they can become part of the program.
That's pretty much what we do. So we look at the business, get a good snapshot of where things are at. And what we typically say is, until you get to that 4 or 5-star level, don't work on all the things to do with loyalty. There are other more fundamental things that need to be worked on first. So it becomes an overall plan, but you don't really deploy anything around loyalty specifically until a little bit later down the track. Yeah.
How do you know if they're 4-star or 5-star online?
Yeah, well, the first places we turn to is if they've got a Facebook page, like they're listed on Google, or if they are some type of food, then you can look at the ratings on the food platforms like Uber Eats and et cetera, they all have ratings.
Yep.
Yeah. And then failing all that, I'll meet with the business owner, and you can tell from what they talk about and how they talk, whether or not they're just purely focused on profit or whether they're focused on really delivering something really great to their audience. And you don't need all of those stars to work out what a business is focused on and how they want to build the business. If it's all about customer this, customer that, and we're trying to do this to make it better for these people and those people, you get a feel for it. Mm. Yeah.
Have there been major hurdles?
Yeah, I guess there's been, well, I don't know, because I do two things. One is I don't really, even though I love the dictionary, I don't really think of things in terms of hurdles. I think of them in terms of, here's a situation I don't know how to deal with. And I would say that in terms of hurdles, I learn my way out of them. So what do I need to know to navigate this particular thing that is there? How do I get around it? How do I get past it? How do I make it a non-issue? So I would say that in terms of hurdles, I don't really think about it that way. And if I do have what someone would typically call a hurdle, my way through it is to learn. So forever learning from other people, because the way I feel is that the planet's been here a long time. There's nearly 8 billion people on the planet. I am not so unique that no one else has faced this and no one else has overcome this. There are people there that I can learn from and talk to and get some help. Yeah.
So then do you think, just listening to you, I'm thinking, is your advice, one of your tips or advice for business owners or people kind of setting up their own business or starting out or working in it, is that they must look for solutions and learn through that, you don't want to call a hurdle, but that challenge perhaps?
Yeah, I would say that you're not alone, and you need to believe, because it's true, that there are plenty of people that are wanting to help and actually expecting nothing in return. And it's one of the things I found about SWEH, the group that you helped found, West Entrepreneurial
Hub on Facebook.
There are plenty of people there. Whenever someone posts about something they're trying to do or something that they're facing, there are plenty of people coming from a place of experience wanting to help, and there is no expectation of anything coming back. So I think my tip or advice is that there are people like that out there. Maybe you do need to search for them, but when you find them, suddenly you're not alone in the problem, and then you have someone who's navigated through that to actually provide some counselling or help or coaching or mentorship, whatever it may look like. I think a lot of people either too scared to ask or don't think people out there, or maybe sometimes, we're all a little bit proud sometimes.
Yes.
And don't, but, what harm can come from asking for a little bit of help?
I think you're one of the most, like I said, I just want to reiterate again, Ben Ho has been one of the most giving and active members of the Southwest Entrepreneurial Hub community and giving advice. And I think we're seeing through what you're giving there, advice and tips, you've encouraged others to come out, because I don't know if you find this, but within many of the refugees or migrant communities in Southwest Sydney, I feel that they're kind of doing business but kind of behind a wall. They're kind of observing, but they're not really out there and doing what you do, going out there, talking, sharing, giving people's tips and, finding people to connect people and collaborate with people. So you're doing that, and I feel that more people should have the same approach, but they don't.
Yeah, I would say that there are things that happen behind the scenes. So I have a lot of conversations that are not made public. I have a lot of people who reach into me to help me, or I help them and it's not made public. So I think that there's the bit that everyone sees, but then there's also this other whole area of people helping each other. And I think that it does help to surface more of that, so people are more open to giving and receiving help. And I think that, often people see teachings or learnings packaged in such a professional way that they feel like, if I don't have a really nice microphone or a very nice camera, or if I don't have the best grammar or spelling, then people may laugh at me, or I can't offer this advice. And one of the reasons why my videos take on this walk and talk, just woke up type format is to sort of break down some of that barrier.
6 a.m. in the morning.
And then that's why people kind of like, okay, well, look at him. Look at him.
That's right. I mean, have there been moments that there's been rejection to say, no, we don't think your idea is, doesn't sit with us, or no, it's not a great idea? And how did you deal with those moments?
Yeah, so I guess I'm the type of guy that people communicate to me or say things like that to me, and in the moment I often don't say anything. I let things process overnight. Yeah. And the result of my processing a lot of the time is that the comments from other people are 99% of the time coming from a good place. Now, you've got to remember that everyone has a different view and map of the world, and their map of the world is telling them that the things that we are doing is not the thing you go to do. It's risky and it's not safe and you could lose money. And so when they come to us with no's, or they come to us with you shouldn't do that, it's actually, if you put yourself into their shoes, it's coming from a good place. So I guess how I handle that is knowing that, how do I deal with the situation to, I guess, not put someone who's actually got your best interests at heart into like a bad position and potentially damage the relationship. And I guess often it's just saying, hey, look, my go-to is, look, yeah, I agree with you, but it's something I want to do, and yeah, I'm still going to do it.
So you kind of don't take no for an answer kind of thing?
Well, I would say that I do two things with no's. So I think a lot of people actually, or a lot of people I talk to, have done some form of NLP. Neuro-linguistic
programming. Yeah. And give the audience a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, so it's very much about, my definition, this is going to be wrong. My definition is it's a lot about the mind. It's a lot about the words we choose to use, both externally and within ourselves. And it's a way to, it's got the word program in it, so it's a way to sort of program ourselves. And whenever someone says no to me, I've learnt one technique. So when someone says no to me, I call it a brain stain.
Okay.
Yeah, so it actually sticks in my head and it bothers me. So even if I don't agree with someone, it sticks there occupying space, and it's like a stain.
Yes, how do you get rid of the stain?
And so I use a particular technique from NLP to wash it out. Yeah, and to remove it. And so then it doesn't serve as a blockage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the technique itself probably will take 5-10 minutes to explain, but maybe in the show notes or something we can put a link to it. But that's often how I deal with no's. Firstly, I don't really take them to heart, but sometimes they leave a stain and it affects me, and I think about stuff like that too long. So then I use a particular technique to get rid of it.
Wow, there you go. So we'll make sure you tune in when we broadcast this so that you can actually get the tips on how to remove the stain in your brain. So did in your life, have you had mentors or coaches to help you through help you on your journey?
Yeah. So once again, I use the dictionary quite often, and I have looked up
dictionary man.
No, a guy who relies on the dictionary man. Yeah. So I would say that I've had a lot of first, because I've been a manager in corporate, and there were coaching programs and mentorship programs, and I'm actually not really that well educated. So that's why I need the dictionary. But I didn't know the difference between coaching and mentoring. Yeah. And so for people like me, and you can admit it because I'm admitting it first, is coaching is very much looking at what you're doing right now and trying to get you to perform better at your current job or task. And mentoring has a more holistic approach to how can this help you overall beyond what you're doing now, so like a longer term view. And so I guess over the years, I spent about 10, 15 years in sort of corporate / big company roles, and I had a lot of coaching because people wanted me to really excel at what I was doing in the role. But I had very few mentors because people didn't think past that personal performance within the role that I was in. And so I guess coaches came from managers that I had. I had plenty of managers. And then mentoring, I looked for in the old days, and I don't want to talk about my age, but
we're very young.
Pre-internet, pre-internet would be my mentors came out of books in libraries. I spent a lot of time in the library, and now I spend a lot of time with all the amazing resources that are available online through YouTube or just Google and articles and things like that. And so I find what I would normally get from a mentor in terms of like holistically what I need from all the resources is just available to everyone right now. So, yeah.
And how important do those, the coaches and the mentors, do you think, how important are they? What role do they play in our lives, in our journey, you know, in what we do? Yeah,
I think very important. You get a lot of inspiration from mentors. You get often a lot of blueprints of people who are trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve. It's invaluable. It's just amazing. Like even if you go beyond what's available for free and you go spend the $25, $30, $35 on an audio book or book, you're in the brains of so many successful people for that amount of money. And even if you take away one thing, it's amazing. You know, people are blowing the same amount in a Netflix subscription or 2 or 3 beers at the pub when they could be spending the same on themselves and learning and development. And it's so important if you are trying to achieve something, then you've got access to all the knowledge in the world pretty much. Yeah, very important.
You already said it. You don't. You're not the person who see hurdles. You. It's more about a learning, a lesson. Would you then have experienced any dark moments in your journey in work, and in particular in your own, you know, setting up YesLoyal?
Well, actually, it probably came pre-YesLoyal. So I had a company before YesLoyal, before I did something with my brother, and it was in 2014 when I left corporate. Yeah, so I was earning good money in corporate, and I thought that, hey, I'll quit. I'll jump into my own small business, and all my problems would be solved. And it was actually for the first year or two, I just broke even. And I guess the dark moment that came to me was that my 10 to 15 years of corporate skills were actually not directly transferable into small business.
Wow.
And so I didn't come to that realization until I still had the living costs of corporate life and trying to deal with that. And I've been very open to everyone that it took 1 to 2 years before I was able to literally reprogram myself, learn new things, retrain myself, totally different approach before things started firing. And I talk about it a lot. In fact, whenever I see someone I know on LinkedIn making the transition from corporate to their own business, I'll reach out and I'll say, hey, look, if it's up to you, but it took me a year or two to work some stuff out, and I think I can shortcut that for you. And so let's have a chat, let's have a coffee. I think it will shave off like 6 months towards your profitability. So that was actually pretty dark in the sense that I was at sometimes thinking, should I go back? You know, am I able to make this work? Did I do the wrong thing? And I don't often regret decisions, but you know, that was a pretty big one. And then the only other, but I learned my way through that. It was through, you know, learning how to approach it. And then the other one is I had a near-death experience in terms of like a major car accident where someone ran a red light and hit me. And it was one of those accidents where everyone comes. The ambulance comes and the police come and the tow trucks come and all the traffic stop. And my son was in the car as well. But it left me with chronic pain.
Oh.
Yeah. And so what I learned from that is how do I carry on with life with chronic pain still, but without having to take the drugs, because the drugs would numb your, well, I call it like, they make me numb and make me dumb.
Yeah.
And so to learn techniques.
As we're talking, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got chronic pain. So I'm sitting here pushing my palm against the table because I'm in pain. But that's amazing. We've shared something in common there, Ben, that we've got chronic pain, which is great. Mine is obviously from chemo. So I had chemo. But, yeah, go on. So what happened there with that accident? What did it make you realise?
Yeah, well, I think different moments in our life, we get something like that reminds us that life is short, and sometimes it's a near-death experience. Sometimes it's someone that we really value in our lives passing away, and some of us in the SWEH group anyway have shared that moment recently.
Yeah.
And it makes you reassess your priorities, and it makes you accelerate finding your purpose and your why and what you want to do. And I actually had a lot of people come to me and say, after the accident, they said, you could make a mint from this accident. And I said to them, no, actually this accident is one of the best things to ever happen to me. One, I didn't die.
Yeah,
that's already
true.
great. But then it forced me to reassess everything. Absolutely reassess everything. And I think that if it happened any later, then I wouldn't be enjoying as many years of the benefits of that reassessment of just life generally. So, like, once again, so I never see hurdles as hurdles or dark moments as dark moments. But, I think everyone has like different stories. And a lot of them predate yesloyal, and they predate my previous businesses, and yeah.
But that obviously, while it predates those moments, those milestones, I have no doubt, wouldn't you say that it influenced what you're trying to do now with yesloyal? Like in terms of your thinking, in terms of your approach, in terms of how you planning yesloyal out and so committed to it. Don't you think that those experiences in the past, while it's not directly, yesloyal wasn't directly born out of it, those experiences in the past actually influence the way that you now operate?
Yeah, absolutely. I can look at the different things that we're doing together with my brother now, and certain decisions, if I really map the decision to a historic moment in the past, I would be able to find it. So, for example, my core strength is to work with big business because I came from big business. I can talk big business talk full of jargon and things I don't even understand. But we chose small business because my parents had a small business that had more struggles than success. And I tell people that as a teenager, I couldn't help them then, but I can help small business now. And so we choose small business now because of that past. The fact that the parents owned the business that wasn't successful and we couldn't help them, we want to help those businesses now. So that's that decision. But I think where the past plays a huge part is those experiences have led me to be able to, I guess, have not sympathy but empathy for small businesses. It's left me with life lessons and skills that we can apply and really help people. Absolutely. I think every single moment influences the future.
I mean, 80% of Australia's economy is on the back of small business.
Yeah.
80% or probably more.
Yeah.
And so where to now for you with yesloyal? Where is it going? What's happening there?
Yeah, so I guess the main focus for me now is the team has grown. It's grown so quickly. It's grown to 12 people, including myself.
Wow.
And so I think that when you're a owner-operator, you don't need to communicate outside of yourself. You just go do what you do. And I think you'll probably experience this as well. Once there's more people involved, everyone needs to be on the same page in terms of, you know, what we're setting out to do and what's everyone's part. And I would say that I'm just so used to being independent and doing things myself that I think my team trusts me that, hey, if Ben's out doing that today, it contributes somehow, but I'm not sure how, but I know he's not out doing things just for the sake of doing things. And I just got to remember that the same effort I put into external communication, I've got to put internally within the organisation as well. So we have that scale. Really for us at the moment, it's spreading the word to businesses that, you know, we believe very strongly that if you set out only to get customers, it's not sustainable. You need to set out from day one to get and keep, which often the nuance is very slight, but the end result to the customer is, oh, they want me here and they want me to keep coming back. And that makes a huge difference. I was at dinner last night to Jumbo Seafood restaurant that opened in Mounties, and the business owner was already talking about the improvements that he would make to some of the dishes that we had when we came back next.
Right.
And one, I walked away knowing that he wanted me back, and the other thing, I knew that he was taking my feedback and actually implementing that. And to myself, I go, yeah, I've got to come back and see what those changes taste like. Yeah, and if more businesses treated customers in conversations and just intent about the next transaction, then it feels less like a, and some people are going to hate me for creating this connection, but, you know, a lot of businesses go out with sort of this one night stand approach.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're a customer, I'm just going to move on, versus like, this is long term. You know, I'm not just thinking about now, I'm thinking about like the overall relationship with you over
10,
time.
20 years time.
Exactly.
And I think people nowadays are so, the consumeristic approach and the disposable approach, I think it affects also our relationship approach in terms of, oh, well, if you're not there, then I'll, you know, move on to another person. But I think appreciating that long-term loyalty, commitment, coming back, but ensuring, as you said, your catchphrase is creating happy customers, not just retaining them, but ensuring that you're retaining them and keeping them happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for your time, Ben Ho. So Ben Ho there from Yesloyal, and I'm Dai Lee from Dawncast. So we've just heard about, you know, understanding all the different touch points that customers will, you know, touch our business, or our business touch the customers. So there are many touch points according to Ben, and, you know, check out Yesloyal, and he's on Southwest Entrepreneurial Hub, and you've got your website as well, is that right?
Yep, yesloyal.com.
Yesloyal.com. And if you are interested in a loyalty program that's very specifically unique to yours, I'm sure Ben will be happy.
Yeah, I think mainly it's I don't often talk about the loyalty program. I guess if you're interested in growing your business in a way that puts the customer first, then we should have a chat.
There you go. Have a chat with Ben. So that's it from me. If you like the story, or if you've got some great ideas, or somebody doing some great social impact work, let us know. Subscribe. Click the bell button below and subscribe to Dawncast. And I'm Dai Lee, and see you next time. Bye.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rocking if I can't stop.